Okay. Welcome to the 10th and final episode of the podcast, How to Get a Guy in 10 Ways. I'm your host, Jenny.
And I'm your host, Danielle.
And today we're doing something different because we needed to celebrate this being the last and final episode. We're only giving you 10 ways of how to get a guy. We're not just going to keep going into infinity. We can't do
We're
that.
not animals. We're not giving you 22 ways. There are 10 ways. And we have to
But because we have two very special guests for our last and final episode, we have our husbands here with us. And you could say that they are technically the inspiration for this entire podcast, if you really think about it.
You could say it, but we won't.
But we'll just imply
Yeah,
it.
but we know it.
He's my muse.
Everything you do.
So because this is, we're talking about what guys are looking for. You know, we've been talking about how to get a guy. Well, how do you know what that guy wants? We're going to talk about it today from two male perspectives and two female perspectives, I guess. We're still here. So we're going to take this podcast episode and play it off of the 2003 rom-com with Amanda Bynes. If anyone knows this movie, it's called What a Girl Wants. And this episode is called What a Guy Wants. I just want to say What a Girl Wants is such an amazing movie. I love it. He hasn't seen it yet.
I don't think I've seen
it together. Yeah. It's so good, so heartwarming, so wholesome. It's some of Amanda Bynes' best work.
That is excellent. And I do want to make a callback to our original episode because now that we have Joe on, Joe, how special is the movie now? How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, because we started this whole show and Jenny told us and our listeners that she showed this to you for the first time as you're talking on this podcast, and she said you were a really big fan. So I just need you to tell the viewers, now that you're on the podcast, just how much you love this movie.
It's one of my probably favorite rom-coms.
Wow.
I mean, I'm a sucker for mid-2000 like movies and cheesy rom-coms. I think this
it hit the spot for that.
It hit the spot.
Okay. Yeah, it just kind of blended humor and romance just enough. It also was really funny with the like competition.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't too cringy where the mid-2000s made you feel kind of outdated. It was good enough, and the actor and actress, they were in their prime too, so it was really it was really good.
Yeah,
and it's predictable, but it was that didn't matter. It was funny.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you loved it. And I'm glad that our podcast could at least do one thing, and that's get Joe to watch one of the best rom-coms probably of all time. So if this podcast does nothing else, we've at least gotten Joe one of his favorite rom-coms.
It was a win.
It was a win. It was all
there's nothing really sad about the movie too. So it's like when you watch rom-coms or any romance movie, there always seems to be, not always, but sometimes there seems to be like a bad incident or something traumatic. It's just a good, fun movie.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, just fun. I like it.
Okay, so since people will be listening and not only just watching the video, but some people are just listening as they drive their cars, let's have Connor and Joe introduce themselves so people can distinguish these two voices and tell who is who. So Connor, you start. Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, how long you guys dated, how long you were engaged, and how long you've been married. Pop quiz.
All right. So my name is Connor. If anyone is driving right now, please drive safely. Drive responsibly.
Don't drink and drive.
No, if you're in Minnesota, it's the law to not touch your phone while you drive. So don't touch your phone. Don't skip over this part, please, for the love of God. Pay attention to the road. It is illegal. So we have been married, so we dated for around a year, a little over a year, and then we were engaged for a little under a year, and then we've been married for almost 5 years now.
Yes. And a fun story about me and Connor, we actually didn't realize we were not legally married up until this year. So now it's backdated. We are officially married, but we've technically only been married for the last 3 weeks legally, although they reinstated the marriage, so it has been 5 years. But we have been saying that we're honeymooning and that we've just been married. So either 5 years or 3 weeks
on your marriage.
Either way,
and either one of those. We've either been married 5 years
currently
or 3
married
weeks.
now. Whenever we were technically married in the first place, it's up for debate depending on who you ask.
Is because someone forgot to sign the certificate?
Something happened between like the state and the county, and so the pastor emeritus like sent in the things, or so he says, and we believe him. We have no reason, I guess, not to believe him. And somehow they just had no record of our marriage, so we are now officially married. And yes, that was our timeline.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you told me that story, it made me think like, oh my gosh, I have to check my marriage certificate. Do we have one? Did someone sign it? Is it all? Yeah. And I still haven't checked it. So, Joseph, go ahead. Tell us who you are, how long we dated, how long we were engaged, and how long we've been married.
Okay, I'm Joe. For those that are listening in the car, just want to let you know that I have beautiful long hair. Don't come over to the video to prove me wrong. And so just kidding. I'm beautifully bald.
Yeah. BBC.
Samson.
Yeah, BBC, bald by choice.
Yeah.
So that's a little fun fact. Not really. Well, I mean, I am bald by choice. I just don't want to grow my hair out. Anyway, so Jenny and I, we dated for 11 months, and we were engaged for 5 months, and we've been almost married for 5 years.
No. We haven't almost been married for 5 years.
We've been married almost. Yeah, we've been married
almost 5 years.
We've almost been married.
It really matters the order of these words.
Right. We're coming up on our 5th anniversary.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. A fun fact about all of us is we were actually married the same year, but only 1 week apart. And Connor and I, technically, and now it's official, we're married 1 week before Jenny and Joe. So legally, it means that we are Jenny and Joe's marriage mentors. That's how that works. So.
We take all our advice from them, and they have steered us wrong many times.
That's true.
And they have steered us wrong every single
it's
time. Amazing. Our marriage is so healthy. We are loving it. Well, thanks, Joe and Connor, for being here with us. We're hoping that our listeners are not too excited because Jenny and I really are wonderful hosts, but we do have better halves, so we are excited to have you join us. But we're hoping they're not bigger fans of you guys than us. They're going to have to start
then
their own
we'd
podcast.
have a big problem. But
I know, we'd have a huge problem. So listeners, just know that you have to like us better, the other half. But we have some questions, Connor and Joe. Some of them we've written, some of them are listener asked questions that they want to know from you, which we actually had 2 last minute questions come in today, which are really great questions. So we're excited. And we're going to start with the first one. What was it that attracted you to us? Connor to me and Joe to Jenny.
Well, it was Joe's baldness that first drew me to him, and it was his personality that made me stay.
That's why we're still all in a small group together.
So,
my baldness, speaking of baldness, it's been my 9-year anniversary as of last week.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Okay.
Congratulations.
I saw the photo, Facebook gives you that that rewind, to yourself, they bring in memories. I was so white. It was so white because my hair's never seen the sun.
Yeah.
Well, your hair has seen the sun, but
yeah.
Yes, that part of your head had never seen the sun.
True.
That's wild.
Okay, who's going first?
I would say that Danielle kind of had a quiet confidence about her, and I think that's
quiet. You didn't know me at all.
No, and we had kind of some I think we had some inside jokes, and we just kind of, I think our personalities meshed really well together. So that's kind of, I think, what first attracted me to Danielle.
Yeah. I don't know why I said yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's right. Correct.
So for me, what attracted me to Jenny was her initial laugh and her ability to make me laugh too.
Mm.
She has the gift of just kind of taking the scenario and just making good fun out of it. So that really helped me kind of attracted her in the first place. Um,
Yeah, well, I will say when I first met you, you were very uptight.
yeah, it was very uptight.
So it was like
well, yeah,
a really good
yeah.
balance.
I guess those are my dark days.
Just really drew us to each other.
Those are my dark days, you know. Well, no, seriously. I mean, I was very uptight, and really, Jenny was very conversational. She was very like funny, and she kind of went out of her way and incognito but nonchalantly just to like check in on me and just kind of get to know me. And we had a lot of mutual friends and just built that good rapport and like understanding of one another. And I just thought to myself, like, man, I really want to get to know her more. And yeah, it's just kind of because I needed somebody to really just be
loosen you up.
Yeah, to loosen me up.
Out of your
Well, yeah. But yeah.
That's funny.
That is so funny because I'm like, those are the things that also Jenny made me want to be your friend. So I think that is fun because I literally, I was going to say attracted me to you, but we're not dating. That made me want to befriend Jenny Markham was exactly those things. So I feel like that's really fun to hear that from Joe. Those are your best qualities. Jenny is one of the funniest people I've ever met, and she can take a bit and
blow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, she will say something and then she will laugh at it repeatedly while I'm still processing why it's funny. But it's funny because she laughs at it. I'm not necessarily always laughing at what she's saying. It's her laughter, believing how funny she is. That's what makes her funny.
It's really that's quiet confidence.
Quiet confidence. Now, this is actually true because at Joe's birthday party this year, Jenny gave us an old stand-up routine that she had. And all of us were laughing hysterically, but it was more at Jenny's laughter at her own jokes.
Right.
And written.
It was something. I don't even know the words for it.
That's when Joe heard the stand-up routine, that's what sealed the deal for him. He didn't want to spoil it, but it was probably the stand-up routine.
Yeah, probably.
That really sealed the deal.
Okay. What was something that each of us did in the very beginning that let you know that we were interested or at least open to the idea of getting to know you?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, I mentioned this earlier. We had I think we had some inside jokes, and we, I don't know. I think we just really connected conversationally right away. So, it was always that because we first met in groups, so we had mutual friends together, and it would be one of those things where it would be we would be hanging out in a group, but we would be very intentional about connecting with each other in that group and making it known. I feel like I made it known that I was interested in at least talking to her, and then she made it known that I was, or that she was interested in talking to me too, just by inside jokes, being intentional, and just when we were in the group settings, just kind of singling each other out, in a way that was
not creepy.
Yeah, not creepy, but it was obvious that we were trying to connect with each other,
to flirt,
and so. Yeah, and it was nice that we had that environment to do it in, because then it wasn't awkward in any way.
Mm-hmm.
It was a kind of an easy and natural way to just get to know each other and feel it out. But I think it was just the intentional conversations that we had that really made me think, maybe there was some interest there on her end.
Mm-hmm. You guys are why are all these other people here on our date?
Hang out. This is
why we're trying to talk here.
We make eye contact for like a little too long.
It's like, it's your birthday celebration. Like,
Yeah,
be quiet. I'm trying to talk to Danielle. What is happening?
We're having a moment here.
Sorry, grow up. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what let you initially know that I was kind of interested or open to dating?
Well, you lurked me in the shadows.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
don't say that.
Just kidding. No, you didn't. You did not.
I didn't buy a pair of binoculars off Amazon today. Anyway.
Yeah.
I've never heard someone say, I lurked him. You stalked him so hard he had to use his own lurking.
No. She was very much in the light. And it's kind of similar to what your story was, Connor, in the sense of, I mean, we got to know each other while we were at school. And we obviously, like, the school was smaller. We could see each other on the other side of campus pretty much. And we just were able to just find the settings that we were in groups and got to know each other. And I think it became more natural of like, oh, hey, you're here. Oh, you're there. Oh, we're at the same store. That's crazy. And just kind of like migrated, kind of, just chatting here and there. And I think it built into the mutual interests. And I think, always kind of like ask yourself, like, man, I'm really talking to the opposite gender of mine. Like, are we like, is there something that could be? And I just really had that, I don't know, that butterflies. I had that like just initial like just willingness to just be able to have those natural conversations. And it was funny because we were supposed to do I was signed up to do like a 24/7 prayer watch.
Oh yeah, they had all these different slots, and you sign up for an hour at a time.
And I was still kind of like not confused, but I was like, man, should I really like pursue or ask the question like of interest? And I put my name down, and we needed a partner because two people need to pray for an hour, and my name was on the list for like probably about 2 days. And my friend of mine was like, you just got to take yourself off because obviously you can't go and like be by yourself. Yeah. I go take myself off, and guess whose name next to me?
My name.
Her name.
Another.
So it was. I mean, we did our diligence before the Lord. We did pray. So we did pray, but it just we had really good chemistry. Yeah. And that really was like one of the first times that we were actually like alone, and yeah, I mean that became more natural and led into getting to like the question of like we have mutual likeness together.
Yeah. It is kind of the chemistry. I feel like when you are able to have a little of that where you can kind of sense that they're interested, and some of it I think is something that's like untangible, that it's like you can't really like give advice on, but some of it is also, you can let people know without stalking them. Like, I'm just kidding. Going out of your way like that to be like put yourself in their path and things like that, I think.
And I'm like, I couldn't take myself off.
No, not after that.
So then therefore someone else is going to take my spot.
Some other man might be praying with my lady. Yeah. Not on my watch.
Not on my watch.
I'll be the only one praying with that lady. Thank you. Okay, so when you guys were deciding whether or not to ask us out, what was a fear you were wrestling with, if there was a fear you were wrestling with?
I would say,
my fear was just not being ready. I just like it was a combination of things. There was more, and maybe I'm not ready. Maybe it's not the time. And then also it was just like, just the fear of like not being good enough. And I think, that stems from all sorts of past things. And you could always tell yourself, well, I'm not good enough to do this. That could be really a fear and a hindrance of like pursuing something. And I think I just couldn't ignore the feelings, and people saw that my close friends saw me of like how I reacted to her from with Jenny, based on other experience that I've had with other girls and people I've dated. They noticed how different I was and how like I was more aware, and that really helped me
Mm.
be a bit more bold and be a little bit and more like upfront. Like, hey, this is what I like. And I even told her I was like, I really like you, but like I'm not sure exactly what
Yeah.
and where I want to do with this. And at the time, there was some different directions that
Yeah,
you
just
were
with
gonna
our
do.
degrees and stuff. But he was just very honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember him saying, like, a couple dates down after
Yeah.
that, saying, like, I do wrestle with feeling like maybe I'm not good enough and things like that. So
Mm.
I appreciated his honesty instead of trying to, like, fake it
Right.
Yeah.
and pretend like he's so confident or, like,
Well,
overcompensate
yeah.
for feeling insecure or
And
something, you
and
know?
I think it's worth noting, like being careful with. I'm spending more. I mean, we found ourselves more like alone in circumstances rather than groups because you can kind of cover up some of your feelings with the group. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
we knew, and it was like I had to be honest, and like whether or not it was gonna turn into something, which it did. I wasn't just gonna like not say anything,
The
and
tension was
she
palpable.
deserved to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the tension was there. It was known. There's something going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to address it. Yeah, that's fair. Connor, what about you? What were you afraid to ask me out? / were you struggling with any fears?
I think when we got to that point, we had been like hanging out and talking for like a month and a half, and I think I had pretty like seriously considered it. And I think we both really like were something that for Danielle and I from the beginning was that we were very clear about like how we were feeling, what we were thinking. Like one of our strengths I think is communicating with each other. So it was like we knew where we both stood. I just was like I just wanted to take it before God and just be like, all right, like I'm not gonna like move forward unless I feel like you're saying that it's okay. And so like I took a time. It was maybe like a week or so where I was like, I knew I was gonna ask her out, but then I was like, I just want to take it before God to be like, all right, like before I make this move, like I'm taking dating really seriously. So it's like do it like I just waited until God gave me peace about that and then basically asked her out. And then unfortunately you had to leave on a trip, like a 3 month trip, like a week after that. And then I was out of the country for like 3 weeks too. So it was like right afterwards we didn't see each other for like almost 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it was crazy. But
yeah, what about pursuit though? Like, were you afraid before you asked me out, like dating? Were there any fears you were wrestling with in like pursuing me?
Were you taking a week to like pray and think about it because you're worried that I don't know, that it wasn't that you were gonna like step out of God's will or something like that?
yeah, I mean, definitely, especially at that point in my life, I think there was more of like a fear of like, yeah, like one small wrong move sets me out of God's will, and then I'm just toast. You know, then I'm
toast.
never gonna recover, and my trajectory will just be off for the rest of my life. No, but I mean, I do think in some ways I was definitely being wise about it. In some ways, I was probably like overthinking it, but I didn't really have any serious fears. But it's also like I didn't know Danielle at the time, and I think it was like if I'm committing to dating somebody, I'm at least seriously like I think there's someone who I could marry. Obviously, there's a lot that can still go on while you're dating. That's part of the dating process. But I think I was just taking it so seriously that I was just like, I'm not gonna date somebody unless I really think I could marry them. And so I think with that decision, I just was giving it the seriousness that I felt like it deserved at the time. Not that you have to take dating that seriously, but I mean,
No.
when I committed, it was like
when you go to a Christian school,
yeah,
it is the tendency to like very in good and bad. You sometimes over spiritualize some things.
Right.
So yeah, that's
I was like over
common
spiritualizing
experience.
somewhat, but then also I think being wise and just being like, I don't know you. I couldn't possibly know you like fully at a month and a half in, and so it was a thing where it was like all right, God, like give me wisdom in this, and just help me make the right decision. Was really kind of where I was at. Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah.
So our next question, you're going to have to go back into the archives of your brain and remember what it was like when you were completely single.
When life was worse for you without
before us. If you can even remember.
I don't remember a time without Danielle.
That's
good. Impossible. We've always been married.
We've always been married since 3 weeks.
When you were single, what were some of the ways you preferred a girl to show interest in you?
You want to go, Joe?
Yeah, I was trying to. That's fine. No, I can go. Yeah, it's in the moment. I never really thought about this question. It was just more like, I don't know. I just kind of like whatever my ideology was at the time. But I, if I can really go back and like kind of think of my younger self and like what I think it truly would want, it's just to be seen, just to be heard, and just having natural conversations of not any awkwardness. I know like there's some awkwardness really, like if you like a girl, like it's hard to have that conversation when you're younger. But I just think honesty and having just good conversation, even if it's an acknowledgement, I mean, remember when I don't want to like make up stuff. I'm just trying to remember, like, I just remember like a lot of people that I like went to youth group and college group, like, we didn't really like a lot of them, not a lot, but like some of us didn't like greet each other all the time. Like it's just kind of like I kind of got to know you because of the group, or you were just there because you joined. I think I would have really appreciated if it was just more like getting to know each other, just having good conversations. I think that, yeah, thinking back, that would have been something that I would really appreciate because, eliminate judgment, eliminates, different things that I don't need to think about. So I think I would really appreciate that. So,
so no mariachi band.
No mariachi band. But he does have a great story of what we would not advise listeners to do.
Okay, so sophomore year in college, and it's like 2016 or something, and okay, I have to admit, I might have led this girl on by accident, which is not the right thing to do because we were friends. But I did participate in groups 9 out of 10 times with her. And I never really like made anything known to like, at least from my words, to say that I like her. But we were really close as a friend group. Anyways, I take blame for any other thing I didn't really realize I was doing. But she was gonna go on spring break, and she was gonna go the trip overseas. And I did not have a car for college until I was a senior. So anytime I got a car, freedom, because you're stuck on campus, you have to depend on another person. Anyway, so she let me borrow her car willingly. All right, I might have asked, but she let me borrow her car. She said willingly. She gave me an envelope with cash in it because she said, "I need you to get an oil change. Like being a college student, finding oil change is hard as is. Whatever." I said, "Okay, no problem." And I said, "And then I need you to pick me up and my friend, or just pick me up." Yeah, me and my friend from the airport. So I go one day to think I'm going to go get an oil change and open up the envelope, and there's a letter inside. So she lied to me. And in this letter,
there wasn't any money.
Yeah, there was no money. There was no money.
Pay for my oil change.
There's no money. And I don't know. I didn't really like inspect the envelope. Like, I just took it. Anyway, so I opened it up, and it was a letter that basically explained her feelings for me.
Okay.
A little bit, and not like heart, like felt I'm gonna be like heartthrob, but it was more like very thoughtful about how much she appreciated me, how much she liked me, and then she didn't she like kind of at the end she was like, I don't think you're gonna like me because I don't think you're gonna go for a girl like me. And then I'm like sitting with this letter for like a few days, and I got to go pick her up
from the airport.
And I have her car. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, what am I gonna do? Like,
that's
what it like? It's like this is not a way that I would want a girl to show interest in me.
mm.
And like, I mean, I'm thankful for the vehicle. I'm thankful for the vehicle that I was able to use.
Oh my
But
God. This isn't about the car. This
but
is
you
not
know,
a
it's not
story
about the
about the
car.
car.
But I would think. But
Yeah.
yeah, we had a conversation. It was just awkward, and like, it like I told her the truth, and I wasn't,
Mhm.
and I apologize if it would mix if I had some feelings that she might have thought that I had, and again, like not what I would have really appreciated, but maybe I let on too strong in some areas that I didn't know.
When you were a youngster.
Mm.
This
So
is what we talked about in our episode about
yeah,
how to get out of the friend zone. You don't want to surprise them
Uh-huh.
with all of your feelings all at once.
all at once. I was
And
gonna ask so
like our friendship, like it wasn't the same, but like I mean, we were gonna graduate anyways, but at the same time,
mhm.
we hung out less. We had an awkward phase. Like we
Yeah,
stopped hanging out in groups with the friends that I had because it just was hard for her and kind of awkward for me. But we were
yeah,
able to have a little bit of a conversation here and there. But yeah,
yeah.
it did
So
kind of
the better approach for you would have been like it probably would have been like a conversation where it wasn't like so strong. Is that what if like there's a girl listening, she's like, okay, I'm not gonna write this letter, maybe it wouldn't have necessarily changed the outcome, but would you have preferred like a conversation or a text or like what would have been like a better way for her to
conversation. I mean, maybe not a text, but I would have preferred like just I mean, I would have purchased her letting me know, but I would have just preferred a conversation.
Okay. Right, Connor, in
Yeah.
your single days, how would you have preferred a girl show interest in you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a pretty relational person, so I preferred like conversations, so like really intentional conversations. I know that like that's where I feel like in the early stages of like getting to know somebody, where I felt the most like growth in that relationship, if just like as a friendship or whatever it might be like. But I think that was a really good way of that I had like felt like it was a good way to show interest of just being like just showing interest in my life, me reciprocating, things like that, where you kind of have those things where you're both interested in the same thing and you connect in that way, or I mean, if you're both Christians, you talk about God, you talk about theology. I don't know that I'm kind of nerdy like that, but like, I mean, Danielle and I had a lot of like deep talks about just like theology and like worldview and like so many things like early on before we even started dating, when we were just getting to know each other. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I really like that about Danielle, and I like that about like other people in the past. Like that's something that I
Mm-hmm.
was looking for, like depth. So that was something that you could very easily get from just hanging around somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Very casual things. But that's, yeah.
What about both of you like responding to an Instagram story or DMing you on social media? What about those things that maybe if someone who has a crush on someone else is not like always in their community
I would
or
say, yeah, like measured, like don't like every story or like respond to every, but like here and there, like you can make little connection points and like make come back something funny on like an
Mm-hmm.
Instagram story, or like someone is maybe on vacation, you're like, oh, I've been there too, like have fun, but like leave
Mhm.
it super casual, like don't do like every story, because that's just gonna be weird.
That's the equivalent
The
of a
little
letter.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
it's the little things.
You write a letter in the DM
And
responding to every story.
here's what I'll say, like, and this is maybe not the case for everybody, but like for a lot of people, like a lot of guys, if you are showing some interest and they're interested, they'll most likely recognize that you're showing some interest, because they're looking like, hey, is she interested or not? Like, and if he's just totally not getting it, maybe he's just not catching your hints, or he's just not interested. And that can sometimes be difficult to figure out. But
Like if Joe took his name off the prayer list as soon as Jenny signed up, that probably
like, hello.
Yeah.
Right by yourself. Yes. Do you guys like if a girl would message you first? So if it's not coming on too strong, but she's just like DM, like casually, like that Facebook message, like a DM. If you guys were single, would that be something you'd be like, oh, that's cool?
Oh.
I would. I would be two things. One is I would have said to myself, and I'll be honest with you, is she attractive? The person that I know, but
fair.
Is this person attractive? Like, who is this person? Like, do I know this person? And like, is there a mutual friend? Is this not somebody that's like entered my name and then they were looking for somebody else and then they were told, I don't know, but just like, kind of like if it's something that's a little bit more continuous, it's like, okay, I kind of want to get to know this. What's up with this person? I would, for me, like, I think I probably would go. Okay. I mean, yeah, my intentions were not always the best when I was.
But for ladies out there,
tune into my personal podcast.
No, we want it for the ladies listening. You heard from the guys that guys like it when you might message first. So hear that from both guys. Not constantly, not coming on strong, but that is, I think, a great way to show you're interested. Right. Or maybe a guy would not think like, oh, you're interested for some reason.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Why would you message me first?
Right. Never lose my number.
Crazy.
Mom.
Lose my Instagram. Okay. Well, we have some listener questions from here on out that people who listen to our podcast are wanting to know from the two of you. So
it gets personal here.
It gets personal. So this one, they get a little bit longer. Buckle up.
Get ready to get cooked.
Get cooked. Okay, so this is a listener question. What should I do when I'm head over heels for a guy who checks all of my boxes and I check off all of his boxes, but he's not in the same place as me yet? He does want to be, and he has some things to work through before he can be in a relationship. Should I linger and be patient in the friend zone? I also have opinions, but I'm going to let the guys talk.
Yeah, we should let the males tackle it first.
I mean, this is a tough one because I don't have the specifics of like things that, he may be working through. I mean, there are many legitimate things that you could be working through before you feel like you're ready to be in a relationship. And some things are things that definitely should be worked through before you're in a relationship. And sometimes other things can be like overthinking it as well. So, I mean, I would take assessment of like, what is he struggling with? Or you may not know, maybe he hasn't said specifics, but I mean, don't press him on that. But I would be wise in discerning like what are the things, like, is it adding up or is he kind of just like making an excuse? It doesn't sound like he is in this case. In that case, it's a tough situation to be in because you can't necessarily just wait around for someone to change. So it's one of those things where you should give yourself, or even, if you guys have been really candid about this, give him a certain amount of time even to just say like, hey, I am interested, but like, I'm not like, I can't just like wait around for you. Like I think it's one of those things because you never know. It's not in your control if the person's going to change or not. And so it's not fair to yourself really to just like hang around and just like hope that one day someone's going to be ready, because they may not ever be ready. And in 6 months, you just might not be in the same place anymore anyway. But I would say just take inventory of the situation as far as, what's holding him back, and then decide if it's, maybe something that you could be friends with him through, that he, needs support, and that would be really good. Or it could be something where you may just have to move on, whether that means like, not being friends with him anymore, if that's what you need for closure, or just being friends and just being friends and just like having that boundary. Yeah. don't know.
Okay.
This is tough one.
Take inventory, maybe give a deadline, assess. Thoughts?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, I think the only thing that I would say, if you're bold, and depending on your friendship, your relationship with this guy, having a natural conversation of asking, what is he struggling with?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, especially if you are a really good friend with the person, and if she's open, great. Like, that's great, and that you can process that. If she's having issues with lust, if she's having issue with lies, if she's having issues with dealing with trauma, whatever it is, or how severe it is, things like that, and you know, ensuring that there's patience, ensuring that, hey, I'm with you, and and asking yourself, like, what can I handle right now, you know, and especially whether does he have an issue with this, and you don't know, like. I don't think there's anything wrong, and it does take some boldness. It does, but I think if you have some sort of agreement or not agreement, have some sort of relationship of understanding, like we really like each other. I think there'd be really it could turn into something that's really special if you want to wait as he processes it. If you decide to do that,
Mm-hmm.
so and it's important that your partner, is honest with you in general.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
feel your relationship knowing honestly if your partner is struggling with something that's extreme. Like, we all struggle with something, but yeah,
Yeah.
be wise.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes. The only thing I would add, and you guys probably would agree, is like if you're sensing that what he's working through is like not the desire to commit, and that's kind of what he's pushing off, like exactly what Connor and Joe said, that there might be legitimate things like a porn addiction, things like that he's like really being intentional, like, I really like you, but I have to work towards this. I don't want to bring in a relationship. That's like a really wonderful thing, like really admirable. He doesn't want to bring that in. But if what he's working through is like this kind of flakiness, like not a desire to commit, just kind of like, then I think I would not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Then it's just an excuse at that point.
Yeah. There's legitimate reasons. And exactly, I think, Connor, you said it. I think time limit for yourself. Like, you don't have to say, well, I'm waiting 30 days. And if by 30 days, we're not in the same place. But if you are still in the same place a year later and this person is still like not ready to commit, or they're still working through things, like, are you?
Or if they're really serious, you can say, hey, in order for me to really like trust you to wait for you, like, would you be willing to talk to somebody, or would you be willing to go to counseling? And not that you have to prove to yourself or to him, but it's genuine care. And like, if you two really, really, really like each other, and you really want to make this into something that's going to be, forever, and into lifelong commitment, it'd be worth having those conversations.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think if he's actually working through it.
Yeah, you got to see some progress.
Yeah.
Yes, Joe, that's a huge point. If he's saying, I want to work through things, and the things are not being worked on, that's a get out.
Under the curb.
That's a do not wait in the friend zone, because that also, I think, is like what your whole life could look like if there's things he needs to work on and he's not doing it. So take that as a sign.
Okay, this listener question could be vague if you put it like that, but they asked, how do you ask the hard questions? Now, that could be a vague question, but let's put some specifics to it. Let's say there is a hard question we have to address. There's an elephant in the room. Let's say you are starting to date this person and you really want to know, do they struggle with pornography? You want to know that. So how do you ask that?
Well, you asked me this at the dinner table.
Okay?
No, you didn't ask me that. You said you were going over the question.
Yeah, I just read this question.
And I said,
you, do you struggle with pornography today?
No, not you didn't
For
put
the
this
first time in our relationship, we asked that.
I don't want to come across. I don't want to come across rude. Or maybe there's another way. But to me, you deserve the right to ask the hard questions if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to put your trust in this person, right? And again, you're sensing, hey, there's something going on with this person, or they're being really like vague with what you're struggling with because you're like, oh, sometimes I deal with this less, or sometimes I deal with less, but like it's not that bad. Like I'm overcoming it. Like you like obviously like you don't want to offend the person. You don't want to like make them feel guilty. But I think in this scenario, you have every right to ask, and and I and I would just say be bold and ask the question flat out. And you don't have to like be charged. You don't have to go in charging with it, but you can be yeah, you can be sincere with the question of like, hey, I'm sensing this, and I know you told me, I'm getting this. You told me that you struggle with this here, and I just think for the sake of if we want to move forward in this relationship or if we want to pursue something, out of respect and care for you or love, depending on where you're at, I need to know like, do you really struggle with pornography? And if you're struggling
Mm-hmm.
with pornography, are you getting counseling or
Mm-hmm.
what?
Mm-hmm.
What you confess? How? Anyway, it could lead, but just I would say be bold and come straight out. I mean, in a sense of how you want to tweak the sincerity on it.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Let's give Connor a different scenario. Is that okay, Connor? Unless you would completely say something different than that.
He's like, I disagree entirely.
I disagree.
And the reason why I'm so bold on this is because I wanted a girl to ask me that question.
Mm-hmm.
I had a struggle, so I would appreciate it if I would ask, and you asked me, right?
I think you brought it up first,
right?
But
because I was too scared. I was too scared to keep it in. Yeah,
I was already planning on asking if he didn't bring it up first, but he did bring it up.
Yeah, I did bring it up, but
Jenny would have brought it up. It sounds like, and he would have, and Joe would have appreciated it if she did. Yeah. So, I think that's great advice.
Yeah. Okay, Connor. What if someone's like, "How do I ask the hard questions?" and they just just met this person because they met online, and so it's been like 2 dates, and they're like, I just really, really want to know if this person is dating people to get married, or if their intention is just to date for a really long time, or do they believe in living with each other before they're married, and you want to ask that type of question. How do you bring that up?
Yeah, I mean, I think an easy way to do it is be vulnerable yourself first. So, I mean, even what Joe was saying is like, if you're like, hey, been on a couple dates, I'm back for a third date, so I'm interested. And it's like, and it's like, what I would say personally is like, my intentions in this relationship are to, hopefully find someone to date, and then if dating goes well, marry that person. Like that is my intention with a serious relationship. What's your intention? That's what I would do. Is just basically you yourself are vulnerable. Put your heart out there. Put your feelings out on the table, because that can let someone take their guard down. And that way it's you're taking the lead. And I think it doesn't have to be either the man or the woman to take the lead in the conversation. Just put yourself out there. And I think some people are too scared to find out the truth, but it's way worse finding out the truth like way later and just being like, whoa, like I kind of wish I knew that. And so like for myself, like I was asking a lot of the like difficult questions early on and like just like putting it all out there, because I was like, I'd rather just know now. And if there's something that we need to work through together, or you need to work through, I need to work through, we just get started now. And I'm like, I'm not trying to delay it, and I don't want it to be something that I'm holding in, and then all of a sudden, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, I'm like, yeah, so there's really something I've been struggling with. Like, like I also just
do you want to get married ever?
Personality wise, like I can't really do that, but just in general too, just I would say be vulnerable first. If you're concerned with like just like asking the question, be vulnerable yourself, and just like also even explain, if you really feel the need to explain why you're asking a question too. Like the heart behind it. Because sometimes you could be worried, like if someone's going to be like, if you are saying like, oh, do you struggle with a certain sin? You don't want to come across as like judgmental, or that you are, you're going to view them differently based on their answer. But it's like you can just take your gun and be like, I'm not saying this for any other reason than just like to know you better, and to know, like, to have everything out there so that we can move forward with clarity,
Yeah.
not so that I can be like, oh,
Got him.
you're a real terrible person.
Yeah.
Knew it.
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me you struggle with that. You suck.
Yeah.
And goodbye.
I've live streamed this whole thing and it's going on the internet right now.
Your mom says she's disappointed.
Yeah.
I just talked with her. She doesn't like you.
Yeah, I think that's really great answers, guys. Anything else either of you wanted to share about that? We've got another long listener question next, so
Here we
buckle
go.
in for this one. Okay, this is another situational one that someone's asking about their very specific situation. If a guy friend in your group asks you out and you turn him down, but months later your feelings change and you'd be open to see where things go, how do you go about letting him know? It's been a little over a year since he's asked. We were able to stay friends and act normal with each other afterwards and see each other in group settings like church or small group. And we see each other about 2 times a week, but we're not having deep discussions, interactions, or really much one-on-one interactions outside of the group. I feel like me showing a little more interest has not been the best course of action, as he probably still thinks that I'm not interested. I'm not head over heels, but I have started seeing him in a new light, and I'm curious to get to know him better and see where things might go. Any advice on what I should do?
Ask him out for coffee. I don't know. Yeah.
Joe's really just such a straight shooter.
Great shooter.
Okay, so this question was asked during the dinner table again earlier.
We were prepping for this episode.
It's on my mind. My gears were
I
spinning.
wasn't telling Joe that she had feelings for someone in
I
our
wanted to say, I know a year ago you told me you liked me, and it scared me, and I want to circle back to that now.
Well, okay. And I want to be sensitive. I do, and I do appreciate this question. I really, really do. It is a real scenario, and I don't think you're alone. I think this is really common.
Yeah, I do think this is common.
The key is not to overthink it. I mean, that's really, my main advice is, I think that, like, obviously you are kind of locked into group settings, and so stepping out would even probably be a bit of out of the comfort zone. But, like, I think if you're this thorough with your question, which is really good, and you really, like, would just want to see where he's at, again, I would just probably, either ask if he'd be willing to meet up before in a group setting, or I don't know, or after, stay after, or go get like a cup of coffee. Because I don't know, I don't think it would be much appreciated if you just kind of were like saying this to him in the middle of the group.
Yeah.
So, because it looks like from your discussion, even though there are no deep discussions, 1 year commitment in this group, everyone at least has to get to know each other, and there's some sort of chemistry. And you really don't want to disrupt that chemistry by trying to ask this person in the middle of this. So I think owe it to him if you want, by, again, like, just bring him to the side, or you're just be genuine and like, hey, let's maybe get a cup of coffee.
Yeah, I think the way she worded it is very good. She could just meet up before group or after group and say, I have been seeing you in a different light recently, and I'm curious if you'd still be open. But if not, I understand, because this is, it was a while ago that you talked to me.
I'm curious too, like, it's fine. Like, I don't know what you mean by different. Like, could mean different things, with your attraction for something different than what it was, and she's grown into something that really attracted you now. Like, could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, and the
Maybe he
sooner
recently came into some money.
yeah. Let's be honest about what
Right.
is new about him that attracts you suddenly. But the sooner you have this conversation, the sooner you can either start getting to know each other and dating, or the sooner you can move on and just put it behind you.
Yes, because I think something needs to be said, because I think you're exactly right. Like, if you're showing him extra interest, he might like think you're like leading him on or something. Like, I think since things have happened previously, you have to have a conversation, because anything in the group that you're trying to do organically as if it didn't happen is just going to be weird, because you do have a little bit of history.
And may I say too, it's like, so this question is very thorough, and I don't know who you are, but I do believe you're not head over heels with this person from what you're saying. But if you're going out of your way to really ask this question in a detailed perspective, I mean, I think you're very curious to at least try to get to know the person, and ask yourself, like, is this really a conversation I really want to have? And,
if you write in a question to this podcast, it sounds like you're really thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what do you have to lose?
What do you have to lose?
Right, yeah.
And then you guys are just doing exactly the same thing, and now you've rejected each other and you're both on an equal playing field. So it honestly almost makes it equal if you don't get kind of what you want.
It's really a win-win either way.
And if you're scared of rejection, go back to one of our first podcasts and listen to that, and then listen to the Hype Yourself Up music playlist.
Yes.
And get yourself hyped up. Get yourself ready to be like, if he rejects me, it's literally fine. I already rejected him. So it's not going to kill me. And get out there. Any other advice from you?
You guys covered it all.
Simple.
Our next listener question that was sent in, short, sweet, to the point, but very serious. How soon is too soon to get married? Okay, I'll start. Well, I just will say that Danielle and I recorded a podcast episode on my old podcast called Head to Heart, and our episode that we talked about this question, like what is too soon, is called How to Navigate a New Relationship Like a Pro, and we talked about this question in depth. But now we're not here for us. We're here for Connor and Joe, so we want to hear what they think.
I mean,
you go ahead, Connor.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that there's a specific time. Like, don't wait just to wait to be like, well, we had to make it a year, so I waited a year. It's like, I would say, I mean, all of this takes time and prayer before, like, just take it before God. If you're feeling like you want to get married and it seems a little too soon, pray for wisdom. Like, leave it up to God and say, all right, like, not to say he's going to give you an exact date, whatever, but the reality is, like, I think you have to take it before him and just say, like, I have this desire, like, either, make a way for this and make it clear that that's, like, right and okay, or just, like, help me to have patience. And I think, I don't know. I don't really want to put a specific number, because everyone's lives look differently. It depends on how old. Like, I would say if you're like really young, maybe try to wait a little bit longer, because you don't really know yourself even that well. Like, as you get older, you have a better understanding of yourself. At least I hope. I hope it's not getting worse.
I know myself less and less as time goes on.
But I would say, like, the older you get, the shorter I think time it would be necessary to know the kind of person, first of all, that you are, and then second of all, your ability to read another person will have improved by that time. So there's no perfect formula, but that's my advice.
Yeah, we say that because hopefully the case is that with age comes maturity. So maybe if you're like...
And a fully formed brain.
Yes, and a fully formed brain. Now, that doesn't mean you have to wait till your brain is fully formed to get married, as neither Danielle nor I waited until our brains were fully formed. I
Yeah.
just turned 27, so my brain is now fully
And we
formed.
pay for that every day. I'm just kidding.
We were worried it wouldn't.
No, but we didn't get married on the first date. I think
Right, exactly.
I think that's too soon. Okay, I'll put one out there. The first date, if you're
Too
20
soon.
years old, I think is too
Yeah,
soon to
that's a
get
bold
married.
take. That's a bold take.
Yep.
And so, practically speaking, ask yourself where you're at, where this other person's at. Connor said, being young and mature. So, I've seen, I give scenarios, multiple people. I've known people who have got married at college and they lived in college dorms and then they struggle, like, what to do next. And that's fine. Like, they're still together, but, like, don't just jump the ship because scenarios may be perfect for you. Be wise. Think for the future. You don't need it all together. Like, you don't need.
Right. You don't want to get married because you're you're doing the same thing in the next season of your life.
Yeah.
You really do need to think about after that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and so just being wise with yourself and ask questions like financial questions, perspective, things like that. So, and like going back to kind of your main question, how soon is too soon? I mean, if God really wills it and he wants to bring it in, you bring it in a few months, and that's just something that really has solidified the trust and the bond, and you guys can do that under the wisdom and discernment of the Lord, then go for it. I mean, you might get a couple, eye gaze and question things like that, but I just trust the Lord in the process. Be wise.
Yeah.
Great answers. All right, this is our last question, our listener question, and I think this is one of my favorites. I think this is a really great question.
I have so many thoughts on this question.
I have also had a million thoughts that I wish the listeners were asking us these questions.
Sorry, yeah, they're just asking Joe
and I, they're asking Joe and Connor, although Jenny and I've got a lot of thoughts, so we may insert. This listener wants to know, how do you find a traditional type of masculine man? A provider, someone who's strong, a Christian, a leader, etc. I feel like it can be hard to know if he has toxic masculinity or if he's just confident in who he is as a man right away. What are some red flags to look out for?
Thank you for sending in this question. We have so much to discuss.
This is the best question. We could have a whole podcast.
The first idea, the flags that come to mind is boasting and pride, being prideful. Right? So you can be a Christian and follow. You can be a leader, you can be a provider, and you can be a Christian. But are you humble about it? Right? So if you're humble about it and you're not showy and you have a fear of the Lord and knowing that he is in control and knowing that he is that there is a holy reverence for him to be leading you to that, then that is the green flag. That is the positive. But if he's just being like, yeah, I'm like, really, he talks about how good he is in his faith.
He talks about everything he's accomplished.
Yeah, everything he's accomplished, like, different things of.
There's like barely any questions about you.
Yeah, barely questions about you, and like it's all about him and his perspective in life and how God shaped him, and like in a way that's really like really flaunting and like being very like showy of himself. Then that would be the toxic masculinity that I would be watchful for. But if he's like very sincere and very authentic and allows you to speak, but also you can tell like with his answers that are directed with discernment, I think that's something that I would cling to. Kind of what I have.
Yeah. This is quite loaded.
This is a loaded baked potato right here.
I 100% agree with everything that Joe said. I think that was really good. I don't know, something that just popped into my head. It's a Bible verse in Matthew 11:29. I mean, it's pretty common, but where Jesus is saying, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me." And he says, "For I am gentle and humble at heart, and you will find rest for your souls." I mean, there's a lot of focus on the, like, take my yoke upon you, you'll find rest for your souls part, but I think we should never skip over Jesus describing himself as gentle and humble in his heart. And I think what Joe said actually is what reminded me of this verse, about, first of all, being humble, and but being gentle. So I think a lot of times Christians have a tendency to look at like David, and they look at all these like warriors, and especially like in America, we kind of idolize violence in a lot of ways. And so sometimes masculinity is viewed as a violent like war hero, and like they're the person with the guns and with the well and with the who's like super jacked and like all these other things. Or you have like the uh what is it, like the gym bro like influencers. Like it's like there's a lot of ideas of what masculinity is. Some versions can be toxic, some versions can be stupid, but a lot of versions are not biblical. And I think, but then I guess back to my original point of like, a lot of times people like to point out people in the Bible who are like heroic and do these crazy things, but like Jesus was a man on earth and was the perfect man on earth. So I think the first place you need to look to, if you're saying, well, what is like a biblical man? Well, there's a guy named Jesus, if you've ever heard of him. And he describes himself as gentle and humble at heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could sometimes fly in the face of what culturally is viewed as masculine. And I think that like being a provider and being strong, and even being a leader, can all be done in a way that's gentle. If it's not gentle, then I think it can get to a level of toxicity, or it can just get to a level of unhealth. It could be out of a place of unhealth. Like when I'm not being gentle, it's out of a place of emotional unhealth for myself, and I think, I also think, getting on a soapbox here, people talk about like they'll use the excuse of like righteous anger or something. And it's just like, you should be very careful about describing your anger as righteous, because you can basically just be claiming that your emotional unhealth is actually spiritual good. And
Yeah.
it's like, and that's something that men struggle with, right? Like anger can be a thing that men struggle with, and other things, and it can be masqueraded as spiritual health, or I'm just doing what's right. I'm like
masculine.
I'm just saying what I like. I'm just doing what I need to do. I'm saying what I need to say. I'm standing up for X, Y, and Z. And for sure, as Christians, we need to speak the truth. We need to be bold. We need to, but we also need to be wise, and we need to be gentle, and we need to be humble. So I think there's that whole thing. And then I also just think it's like, how does he treat women in his life that aren't his family and that he's not attracted to?
Yeah.
What about like, does he have like women friends that he just treats like human beings? No, much more than that. Like they're his sisters, or like they're his family, right? It's like, I think that's really important, just how he treats other women. And I just think, I mean, yeah, I think confidence is rarely loud and boisterous. I think that's usually just immaturity masquerading as like masculinity. If not always, but I do think a lot of the times that ends up.
Yeah. And when he's out, think about Jesus and how he is ministering and witnessing to people and healing people. He doesn't want to attract crowds. He'd rather go and be for the Lord, and giving thanks and praising the Father. And when it's time to say, when he does heal, he doesn't talk about himself inwardly. It's always praising the Father. He's not out, on Instagram boasting about his YWAM trips around the world, and trying to be like, I visited Australia, I visited New Zealand, I'm out here in this orphanage, like look at me, and I did this and I did that, he's very quiet and very very, like, I go back to fear of the Lord, beginning of wisdom. And so understanding your perspective and your position as a man and your position as a follower and a leader of your spouse and your family, the model of Jesus. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is my absolute favorite question ever, and I love what you both said. I also want to just address the like desire for this traditional man. That's not bad.
Yes, exactly. We have to address that. That's what I'm going to say.
Jenny, we're on the same page. So the desire for this traditional type of masculine man is not a bad thing. But I think sometimes this desire for this quote unquote traditional type of man and biblical man are conflated, and they're not exactly the same thing. For example, this idea of like a provider. I think some people would have different opinions on like what is a provider versus what is not. Like maybe you have differences of like how much money does a man who's providing for his family like have to make? If a man is working, but the wife still has to work because his income does that mean he's not a provider? Does that mean he's not like a strong leader? So,
or even an example, sorry to cut in, like
no, please.
If a man does have like a disability that that makes him not be able to work, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
is he suddenly not a man because
is he not a provider? Is he not like a biblical man? Is he not doing his biblical duties as a husband? Like,
yes.
No.
So this is where like culture has assigned things to masculinity that I don't necessarily think are equal. I think they can be things that maybe you're like, okay, these are some qualities I'm looking for, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that's like all what a masculine man is. And maybe I'd think through that, and it's not exactly what's like this biblical, you know what I mean? Like I think of so many guys in college that were like, girls be like, oh, traditional and strong, and they're just posting all these pictures of themselves on a mic of like them praying, what exactly you guys are talking about. And that doesn't mean that they're not, but I think sometimes things appear as this traditional type of masculinity, and what you actually want is something else. What's actually like beautifully masculine is this gentle and humble and lowly, and what's paraded as masculinity is just insecurity, like what they said. I think when masculinity is your personality, first of all, I think that probably the boring.
Literally
You're right. Exactly. There you go, Joe. When your personality is being a masculine man, I think you're honestly like, it feels like you're trying to overcompensate. It feels like you are insecure. You have to live out of that instead of being like, I'm a masculine man because I'm a man.
See, and look, I'm masculine.
I'm masculine. Look at me.
Yeah. So
look at my chest hair.
And test me and find out if I'm masculine or not.
Yes,
I dare you.
Provide for my family. So, and same with a leader. And Jenny can go into these things as well. She has some episodes that I would listen to. This is like a really, really deep well topic. That's like an excellent question to bring up, because like we've all said, it's very loaded, so we probably can't even cover all of it here. But Jenny, I'm going to toss it to you also to just kind of dive in on this.
Danielle told me ages ago, you should make an entire episode about the head of the home type of phrase. And so Danielle and I are on an episode of Head to Heart called Is the Husband Really the Head of the Home? Now, this question does not specifically say head of the home, but it's a great starter to be like, what do I mean when I say I want someone who's a provider and strong and a leader? And if you box yourself in and say, well, a leader looks like he's on a stage and he's preaching and he has a microphone and he's using his gifts and like posting them on Instagram, and he has to have all these like very physical hobbies like archery, like wrestling, like I don't know, anything super physical.
Fighting a bear with his
Yes, exactly. To fight off a bear. He has to have all these things, or he has to even just be taller than me. Even by that, you are boxing yourself in and you are only hurting yourself because you disqualify so many good, godly men
Yes.
who just don't fit into
Yes.
this peg you want him
Yes.
to.
And that's your preference. That's the other thing. Your preferences of what you want in a man, I don't think also define masculinity.
Right.
Not just you as a listener. I think all ladies listening to this, I would hesitate to assign what you think is attractive and what you want in a man as qualities that are inherently masculine.
Yes, exactly. And I think some women would say, I like a man who's going to stand up for me and who's going to take charge of situations. And I just, again, you need to think, what do I really mean by that? If I say that out loud, what have I just
coming from?
That because I have heard it told to me that that is what I should want as a Christian woman. And someone who is truly confident is going to be very humble, and they're going to want you to shine. And the Bible calls husbands to lay down their lives for their wives. So he's not going to want to one up you in all your stories. he's not going to be like, well, you should tone yourself down a little bit. You're embarrassing me or something like that. So
that's a good one too. I think, Jenny, sorry to interrupt, but the like power dynamic and power in Christianity, and I think in relationships in Christianity, power over is never something to be used. Like, power is used typically as a means to support the lowly and the powerless, and not to say like that's the dynamic in a relationship, but it's like power is used to bring up the people who maybe are disadvantaged, and power in a relationship, in any relational dynamic, should be used in a way that you're serving the other person, and that you're listening to the other person, and that you are gentle and humble. You're listening to their opinion, and you're saying, like, even at a job, if you're a supervisor or manager or something, you're not lording it over people. You're saying, I am here to serve you. I'm here to make sure you can do your job well. And in any relationship, you're saying, I'm here to love you well and support you well. And I think how men handle power is very important to watch, because power can be used over to manipulate and to abuse. That's sadly very common. And so that's definitely something to like watch for as like a red flag of like, how does a man view power? Who does a man look up to as other men that are quote unquote powerful? Like, who does he think is someone to look up to? What podcasts is he listening to? Go through his podcast history.
Yeah. The tough questions. What kind of podcast do you like? And is it head to heart? Why?
Anyway, sorry. That just wanted to chime in. That was something I was thinking about before.
That's good. And I remember dating Joe and like observing like different activities, hobbies you like to do. And you like a lot of things, but one of them was like you enjoy cooking and you enjoy decorating. You love like decorating your house.
And fashion.
And oh my gosh. And you
Joe likes fashion.
One time when we were like really early on in dating, you were like, I gotta be honest with you, I love fashion. Like, I just love like, putting these outfits together. And I appreciated and was attracted to like how confident he was.
Yes, that's the confidence.
Oh, I can't like that. That's too feminine or something.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about that.
Maybe a little less motivating now, but yes, still do.
Yes. The thing I was most attracted to about Connor was that like confidence, that it didn't feel like he had to like say, like he just had that air about him. And he mentioned in the beginning, I'm not quiet. That was a joke at the beginning, the quiet confidence. I'm not a quiet person. I'm a very assertive woman. I think I have some traits that if you're like, oh, that would be masculine, even though I don't think we would assign the masculine, feminine. I have traits that a lot of people be like, that's very masculine of you. I like am always willing to take charge. I'm very assertive. I'm outspoken. I'm bold. And for me, in the past, I have had guys that were just like, they could not handle that. Like, they were very insecure being with a woman like that, just because I don't know. But with Connor, it was never like this insecurity. It was never like, oh, I have to make you feel lesser than you are. It was like he would just match my level. He wasn't ever like ashamed of it. He wasn't ever like threatened by it. It didn't do anything to his identity because it shouldn't. But I think that's what I loved the most, was he was confident in who he was. And so whoever I was didn't matter. It didn't like have any bearing on his identity. And that was a very masculine confidence. His identity was rooted in the Lord. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so that's a lot for you to think about, listener, and hopefully we've answered this question that in a way that feels like it helps. And I'm sure this is a lot of information. This is something that I really think you should pray through and think through and dissect a little bit more. I think it'd be really helpful. Thank you, Connor and Joe, for being part of this episode and rounding out our 10th episode of How to Get a Guy in 10 Ways. We are so appreciative of your wisdom and your learning. And listeners, you can still feel free to comment any questions you have. We actually both live with our husbands, so we have pretty good access to them if you would like them to answer any other questions that you want answers from a guy. So they are still around, and please feel free to comment a question towards us or them. They would be happy to give you advice and answer anything that maybe you missed this episode to be covered by and want some guy advice on.
Or if you think our advice was trash, give us feedback. Let us know.
And let that feedback be 5 stars.
That's give the podcast 5 stars, but just let us know. Mm-hmm. If you're like, no, that was terrible,
feedback.
Let me know. Positive, negative.
Jenny and I don't ask for negative feedback.
I will take negative.
I only ask for positive feedback.
Sure. You know, I am so happy we're finally finishing up this passion project of ours, and it only took us 9 months to make 10 episodes.
Round of applause. Round of applause.
Once a month.
But
one
you know
episode
what?
Per month.
Yeah, you know, but I did have a baby in the midst of that. Yeah. So I would say if you throw in that fact, it is pretty impressive.
Jenny had a baby and we both started school. Yeah. So that is actually quite impressive considering
we are very impressive people.
Yeah, actually, if you really think about it, it's amazing.
I'm actually amazing that I made time for this passion project. Anyway, every resource that we mentioned in the show notes, including our playlist. That playlist is designed to pump you up on the drive to your first date or any date you're not feeling too confident about before you go in. Please send us your positive experiences. If you took any of our advice, we want to know. Unlike Connor, we really just want the positive feedback, not like negative feedback too. And then make sure you send this episode and any other one of these episodes to your single friends to share the love with them. And then hopefully all of you can get into healthy relationships. And one more kind of related but unrelated piece of exciting news is that my other podcast, Head to Heart, is relaunching in September of this year.
Woo!
Applause.
Applause.
Very exciting. And I'm sure that Danielle will be back as a guest on some episode or another.
I always make my way back, so don't think
always weasels her way in there.
My way right back in there.
So that is all. We want to thank you listeners for tuning in to the 10 episode podcast of How to Get a Guy in 10 Ways.
Thanks, everyone.